Welcome, everyone, to the Whisper to Roar Show. I am your host, Kym Glass. I am so excited that you have chosen to join us today. We are so excited to share with you insights, tips, resources, and my favorite, connections to help you take your business and voice from a whisper to roar. We are continuing our conversation today. You know, a few weeks ago, I just had a little post out on social media. Have you ever felt invisible while you're networking? I can't tell you how many direct private messages that I got from connections that I knew that it was like, oh my goodness, I had no idea that they felt that way. And so I am so excited. We have some special guests that are joining us on the show today to talk about feeling invisible. And how do you move from feeling invisible to invincible while you're out there networking and just being your best self for growing your business? And so without further ado, I want to introduce you to our special guests today. I am so honored that they have chosen to be with us today. Lynda Sunshine West and I met about 5 years ago in all places of Las Vegas, Nevada, at a networking event. And along the journey, we have stayed connected. And as a result of that connection, we were introduced to Cathy, Derksen along the way. I'm so excited to have them join me today as my special guest. And so I want to start off with Lynda. I'm going to bring you on, Lynda, and I would love for you to share your journey about feeling invisible and what were the things that you were feeling along that journey, and especially while you were out there networking. So
Well,
Lynda?
thanks, Kym. Yeah, thanks, Kym, so much for having us here on your show. Invisibility is something that I like to now. In the past, things were different because I thought differently. But now I like to equate that invisibility to this is how I feel. This isn't necessarily the reality. Because there are people out there who have seen me throughout the years, the decades. I've been alive for many decades now. I'm pushing into that sixth decade, and actually I'm in my sixth decade, pushing into my seventh decade. And during that time, there are many times that I myself felt I just didn't want to be around. I didn't want to be around anybody. And I felt invisible. Yet at the same time, here I was on stages. I've been performing since I was second grade, so I've been on performance, performing and stuff, but I still felt invisible. So I think that word invisible, that some people might get a misnomer on that, like, you're not invisible. It doesn't matter what you see. What matters is what I feel inside. And that's what this book is all about, is that, invisibility, right? And then moving into that place of invincibility. I couldn't do that on my own. I needed help. I didn't even know it existed. When I saw other people who were out there doing all these things, and I started comparing myself to them and saying, oh, I can't do that because that's like for those kinds of people. I used to say that all the time. And I felt that they were invincible. Yet, who knows? Maybe they were feeling invisible at the same time that I was feeling invisible as well, but I see them differently. So that invincibility piece was really important for me to learn how to tap into who I am, what I'm all about, and then for me to actually believe it, and then for me to live it. So it was a process. It wasn't like one day I woke up and said, oh, I'm invincible. No, it was a process. And I had a life coach who helped me through it. I really, truly believe that I could not have done any of that on my own because I wouldn't know where to start. So that's for me, invisibility to invincibility.
I so appreciate what you said about that, Lynda, because it is so true. Like, it does, if we feel it, sometimes it makes us feel that that is so, and that's the truth. And so when we're networking, and people open up to us, oh, I'm so glad you were here, or thank you for that conversation, because I just wanted to dissolve into this wall. I didn't really feel like I should even be here today. And I think that's so crucial when we're building connections, to just be aware of what someone else may be feeling. And I think that's the power of networking. Like, I love to network because I am so curious about, what are you doing? Who are you as a person? And why are you here? Showing up. There's a belief of showing up, and 85% of your success is showing up. And even if we feel invisible, I felt invisible in certain aspects of my life, but being able to push through that, to get to a networking event, to show up on a Zoom, I think we can learn nuggets of information even when we're pushing through and not really feeling it. So I appreciate so much what you said about that. And then Cathy, would you share with us a little bit about your story of how you felt invisible?
Sure. Thanks, Kym. It's nice to be here, and I love this conversation. In my chapter in the book, I talk about different times in my life when I've felt invisible and coming through those things. When I was a kid, we moved around a lot. So parts of that invisibility come from, being that new kid in a different place, and kind of bullies that would always be looking for that new kid. And so at times feeling like you wanted to be invisible because, then you could avoid that. And of course, whenever you're starting something new, I think a lot of us slip into that feeling of being invisible. A big part of my story goes into when I was later on become a mother, a wife, and was in quite an abusive relationship. And a lot of what my ex would do would be to belittle and make things like just make you feel like you're wrong and you're stupid and you're small. And I just remember at one point suddenly realizing that I had pretty much disappeared because of just that constant pummeling of, okay, it doesn't matter what you think, it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what you want. So you do start shrinking and disappearing. So that was a big part of my adult disappearing and feeling invisible. In a way, I suppose it was probably a protective thing of getting myself out of that situation, or feeling that I was not the target quite as much. So it really was when I realized, and it hit me what was going on, and how I really had given up my power and given up my voice in this relationship. And especially as a mother, I realized, is this the role model I want to be for my kids? Is this what I want to show them, is a marriage and a relationship? So that's really what gave me the push to jump and push myself out of that situation, was to be that role model for my kids, and also to get my kids out of that situation, because they were also, being abused and just being pushed back in their own development as a person. So that was one of the first times that I really made a big leap out of that invisible and into moving towards that invincible, when I realized, okay, I have to do whatever it takes to get out of the situation and just push on to a better situation. So that's been a big part of my invisible to invincible journey.
Thank you, Cathy, so much for sharing that. And it brings up a valuable point too. We often talk about other people's opinions. And I know sometimes even as business owners, we get stuck when we start sharing about our business as an entrepreneur, of what we're going to do. And then sometimes we get feedback from other people and their opinions. And so oftentimes people share those opinions as that's not something that they would do. But sometimes we take that on as us questioning, am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing this in my business? And so I so appreciate what you share, because it's so true in business and in networking, where we have to be so solid about what we're doing and have the confidence in our business that no one's opinion can move us away from our goal. I often talk to my clients about, some days you just have to put your blinders on. You have to put your blinders on and stay focused on what your goal is. And so I appreciate you, Cathy, for sharing your journey of feeling invisible. And I do think that that is definitely something that impacts, and even though that was in your family, it can spill over into our business and to other areas. So thank you so much for sharing. And so Lynda, take us back to your networking experience, and was your feeling of invisible, did that cross over to your networking? And if so, how did you push through that? We'll talk a little bit in a few minutes about what all great things you're doing in your business, but take us back to that place where you're moving through feeling invisible, but you're out there networking, and what happened, and was there a click or a light bulb moment that helped you transform from feeling invisible to becoming invincible?
Yeah, it's interesting because, as we go through life and we're on our journey and we're learning, different things from different people. And there have been many instances where I felt absolutely invisible, but I did it anyway. And I think that was one of the things, is that, like, just do that, whatever that is. Attending a networking event, just showing up at a networking event was something that used to terrify me. I remember many times that I was driving to a networking event. And as I was driving there, I was psyching myself up and getting myself pumped up, to show up at this networking event. And I got there, and I got there early, usually 15, 20 minutes early. And I sat in my car, and I was like, oh, I can just look at one more Facebook thing before I go in. And the next thing you know, the networking event was over and I didn't even go inside. I had so many times where I would drive there. Sometimes it was 45 minutes to an hour away. And I would just sit in the parking lot and never even go on site because I was so scared. And there was something you mentioned, Kym, that I think that I wanted to address. And that was about that, people giving their opinions. And, we know about, there's this sand in the hand theory that when people give you their opinions, you basically put them in your hand, you open up your fingers, and whatever falls out, those are the things that don't serve you, or the things that aren't necessary for you, at least right now. And the things that stay in your hand are the things that you implement. And here's the thing about that I felt was really important for me, because, Cathy mentioned abuse. I grew up in a very volatile, abusive, alcoholic household. Kym, you grew up in an environment that is subpar. And, I don't want to throw it, blow it out of the water here. But those environments, they can do something to us that knocks us off of a foundation. Like when we're born screaming. We all come into this world screaming, and we have confidence, right? When I want something to eat, I'm like, I want something to eat, and I'm going to cry for it, right? When I want something, I'm going to cry for it until I get it. We have so much power when we're young. And then we get in these environments, our families, and we learn different things from them. Sometimes, very fortunate people are grown into a very loving family. Others are grown into abuse. And so what we're going to do with that is really what determines who we are going to become. And one thing I discovered on my own journey, starting at age 51. At 51 is when I started my entrepreneurial journey, as well as my personal development journey of, like, who am I going to become? And one thing I noticed along this journey is that I was wishy-washy, going back and forth on so many different things, because I still had the remnants of my people pleaser mentality that I had gained when I was a child. 5 years old, I ran away. I was gone for a whole week. And when I came back, that was when I was becoming a people pleaser. And so I'm mentioning this because oftentimes, if we hear people's opinions about things and we take it as word, like this is the thing, this means we're not firm enough yet in our foundation. We haven't built that rock solid foundation that no matter what you say or do cannot knock me off of it. For me, it's been almost 7 years of building that foundation, that it's so rock solid that I now will stand up for myself. And for me, that is what invincibility is all about. is being able to say, I'm here, this is what I believe in, and thank you so much for your opinions. I truly appreciate your opinion, but it's not swaying me today. Thank you so much for testing me to see how firm I am on my foundation. I don't know if that answered the question, but I wanted to address that because I think that's really important for us to really stand for ourselves. If you don't stand for something, you stand for nothing. You know, you got to stand for something. So what do you stand for today, right now in this moment? Now, relating that back to networking is when you're attending a networking event and you're meeting new people. What do you stand for? You stand up and you say, this is what I stand for. Those who believe in what I believe in are going to follow me. And guess what? Those who don't believe in what I believe in, it's okay, because those aren't the people I want to attract anyway. So stand firm for who you are, what your beliefs are, and just keep moving forward. Don't let anybody sway you out of your own opinions and your thoughts on things.
So powerful. I think that could be another whole book series, because we can get blindsided. We can get blindsided by other people's opinions. You talked about beliefs and patterns and generational patterns that we pass on, and we take on those things as if they are so. And as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, I'm a big believer in continuous improvement. And I will tell you, there's been times in my life where I had solid beliefs and things, but as I grew, took ownership, was in the leadership role for myself, some of those beliefs I had to look at really carefully. You mentioned our story, and a lot of our listeners know I was born and raised in a religious cult, and I escaped after 35 years. And I will tell you, a lot of that unpeeling that onion came because I had built so many connections and friendships there. And I knew when I left that if my friends didn't leave or they didn't eventually see their way out, I knew that I would be cut off from having a relationship. And so, one of my big beliefs is people value. And I believe that we can all learn from other people. And so it took me a while, but it was my own experience. And I will tell you, I would never go back to that environment, because I was healing myself before I finally physically walked away from that. And so as an entrepreneur, I know we talk about this, Lynda, what we're doing today in our business, we're not exactly doing the same thing that we were 5 years ago. Like we've transformed some things that may not have been working or may not have even been our passion. And so I love so much about what you said about that, because there are things in my life, just like you mentioned, that I will not be swayed on. I will, this is who I am, and I'm driving a stake on it. And so I appreciate your insights on that. It's so powerful. And again, people's opinions, the hand and the sand in the hand, are you seeking opinions, or are you looking for counsel that can help you to that next phase that you're looking for and that you're growing toward? And that's what we're doing when we're out there connecting with people, working in our business. We all have some room for improvement, I would say. Even as self-leaders, we're curious enough to keep looking for things and opportunities that serve us and add value to not only us, but our business and who we serve. And so, Cathy, would you share with us about your business? What do you do in your business? Who are maybe your ideal clients? And how can we share your information with our listeners today?
Thanks, Kym. Yeah, no, my business evolved out of some of this growth that we're talking about here, and getting, from an identity we had, or the things that we thought that we've kind of evolved out of. About 10 years ago, I went into financial planning because I felt a need to help women change their life. But after about 10 years of that, I realized, working in the corporate role, that I was wasn't so much helping women change their life, it's just giving them some tools that they might use and might not use. So what I've done now, I've spun off with my own business. I call it Inspired Tenacity, where I feel that I can really supply the information that I know will help women change their life and create a life that they actually love to live. So the name came about because I feel that inspiration and tenacity are the things we need to make big changes in our life. So that inspiration of what do you want, but then that tenacity to just push through, like we're saying, when you're sort of stuck in not knowing who you are or where you're supposed to be, to push through that to where you really are happy and excited to be. So that's the base of my company. I'm helping women 50 plus to, especially ones that feel like they're in a job where they're banging their head against a wall and just really need to get out. And they know there's something else they're supposed to be doing with their life, but they're not sure how to make that change or what they need to do next. So that's the big focus of my work right now. And I'm just loving doing it. I'm loving the feedback I'm getting from women about, yes, this is exactly what I need. I didn't realize what I was missing or where I needed to go, but these tools are really helping me. So I've got a few courses, and my website is called inspiredtenacity.com. So pretty simple to find that way. And I've got some of my programs there. Next week, I'm actually doing a Facebook Live challenge. So everybody's welcome to join me there. You can either connect with me through Facebook or on my website and let me know if you want to jump on in. So I'm just loving helping women to move out of that invisible state in life and into their invincible state, because I think a lot of us hit that stage, especially in our 40s and 50s, if we've been moms or just working all these years, you're just kind of stuck quite often in, okay, what do I actually want to do for the next 30 years of my life? So come on, join me. Let's get inspired. And we got lots going on. So
that's fantastic. I love those two words, inspired and tenacity. Doesn't that just want to move you into action? Yes. So, Cathy, I'm going to spell your name. So it's Cathy with a C, Cathy. Her last name is Derksen, D as in David, ERKSEN. So thank you so much for sharing with us. And then Lynda, I'm going to throw it back to you. And would you share with us, I know you mentioned you have this fabulous book coming out. Would you share with us how this book came about, helping others move from invisible to invincible? And do we know a launch time frame? And how can we get our hands on this incredible book? I love collaboration books. I've been on a couple of collaboration books with you since we've met, and I'm just so excited and know the value that this book is going to help our leaders with. So would you share with us, Lynda?
Definitely. Thanks so much, Kym. So the book is titled Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore. And the title came up. I woke up one morning, probably about 2 a.m. Those nights when you either wake up in the middle of the night and you have your inspired tenacity, and you're like, there's something you just got to do. And I woke up with this title in my head, Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore. So I hopped out of bed and I went and wrote it down, and then I went back to bed. And I just believe that God sends us these different messages for us to do something with or to not do something with. And when that title came to me, I'm one of those people where titles come to me and then I do something with it. I know a lot of people who do something and then they come up with a title later. But for me, the title inspires everything that I do. And that title was like, wow, that was that moment in my life where I went from that feeling of invisible to that feeling of invincible, where I was like, nothing's going to stop me now. And that was that moment that made me realize that I've got something here. I myself, Lynda, I'm no longer stupid and ignorant like I was told. I was told all these different bad things about myself, but this is where it was like that moment where I stepped into believing in myself. And I truly believe that once we believe in ourselves, this is when we can move forward. This is when, passion and drive is awesome. But if you don't know who you are and you don't believe in who you are, really, how far can you go with passion and drive? I believe you really need to, be able to step into who you truly are. So the book, I'm excited because we have 28 amazing women who are sharing their stories of going from invisible to Invincible. And remember, these are their stories as told by them. So it's really cool because every story is completely different, told in a different voice by each woman. And the launch date we are looking at, I shouldn't say looking at, we are launching this book on August 30th, 2021. So excited about it. We have some launch plans, planned for that. And, launching a book, it's not just, oh, I'm just going to publish a book and it's going to be out there and everybody's going to buy it. No, there's a lot of work involved. There's a lot of work involved. So between the collaborators, as well as me and my team, we're going to do what we can to not only become a best-selling book, but also to become a #1 best-selling book. That's our ultimate goal. The best-selling, I can pretty much guarantee that that's going to happen. And we did it with the other one. Kym and I were in a book together called Momentum, 13 Lessons from Action Takers Who Changed the World. And that was one of the books. That was Kym's first book to join me on a collaboration. And that title too came to me from God, and these titles come to me and I do something with them. And it's exciting to bring people together to share their voices with the world. As I mentioned earlier, I grew up in a volatile, abusive, alcoholic household. I ran away when I was 5 years old, and really brave to run away. I was gone for a week. And when I came home, my voice was stifled for the next 46 years. I had so much fear that was instilled in me that I was too scared to share my voice. So now part of what I do is by helping women to have that platform to share their voice, because when they've made it through the times, like working with Cathy, right, on the the personal development, and now they're ready to share their story, who's going to help them to share their story? Well, that's where I step in and I help them to share their story. So what I do at Women Action Takers Publishing is we help you write, publish, and market your book to get your message out there and get you seen and heard on as many stages as possible so we can amplify your voice.
So powerful. And, this is the Whisper to Roar show where we help you take your business and voice from whisper to roar. So our listeners, you got to already connect the dots here and understand why Lynda and I collaborate so often together. And just by sharing, with her just a few weeks ago about this project that she was doing, and the word invisible and how that ties with people when they're out there networking. It's spun off several other conversations that there's no way you could have business planned that. But that's what happens when you're being who you are, you're looking to help other people. And then you hear about this fabulous book and the opportunity to meet so many authors like Cathy, and her sharing her story, so powerful, yet so vulnerable, of how she's moved from invisible to invincible. And these 28 chapters, I am so excited to have met so many authors. We have more coming up on our show to share, how do you do that? And the power that we truly have about, Lynda, what you mentioned, sharing your voice and how your voice was stifled after you returned home. There's so many factors that lead to that. Other people's opinions, the fear of being wrong, the fear of being judged, I think falls right into why people feel invisible. But I believe how we can share our story of the overcoming. I love the quote from Helen Keller when she says, "The world is full of suffering, yet it's the power of overcoming," not those exact words, but the greatness is in the overcoming, not what you went through. It's that, we don't have to stay in our suffering any longer. It is truly the power of overcoming. And so I thank you both so much for being on our show today, sharing yourself, your story, again, being so vulnerable, because it is in doing that we truly can inspire other people. And I know for you, Lynda, you're on a big mission to change 5 million lives. So, and we do that by sharing. And the more we share, the more people that we impact. So I thank you all so much for joining us today. Again, my name is Kym Glass, the host of Whisper to Roar, where we come to you every week giving you resources, tools, support, and wonderful connections to help you on your networking journey to build your business and meet those people. You know, we often say one person can change your life and the trajectory of your business. And I hope that you got some valuable nuggets of information today and that you connect with both Lynda and Cathy along your journey. Thank you all again so much for being here. Again, my name is Kym Glass. You can find me at kymglass.com. And you can also join and subscribe to our YouTube channel to hear our past special guest and our upcoming special guest as they share how they moved from invisible to invincible to share their voice. Thank you again for being here. Yes, Lynda.
With that, I forgot to mention the website where if you're interested in purchasing the book, go to invincibleforevermore.com. That's invincibleforevermore.com. Get your copy of the book.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And thank you for reminding me of that. So you heard it from Lynda. You know where to go. Be sure and check out that website. You'll hear about the exact launch date and all of the fabulous authors there. So thank you guys again for being here with us today. Again, it's always so great to see you, Lynda. I'm so glad that our paths crossed over, I want to say 5 years, just from networking. And so this, again, shows the power of networking to help you to build your business. We look so forward to seeing you all again. And you all have a wonderful day and happy networking to each of you. Take care.